sure I'm not telling you anything you haven't heard already. But again, for the second time, Trump has survived an assassination attempt. Now, this one, the details are still coming out. However, the internet has done a very good job at finding out who this was, screenshotting his Instagram, Facebook, Twitter accounts. It seems like Facebook actually just scrubbed his account off of their website. So hopefully we got some of that. This one not as serious, which is hilarious that I have to say that this one's not as serious as the first attempt, which barely missed his head, injuring his ear. And if you've seen the recreations of that shot, it was with the angle and everything, you're talking about not even a quarter inch of a head turn, and that would have entered the rear and side of his head and exited out the other, which who knows where we would have been at that point. The reaction to this, it's almost numbing. Like, I'm almost numb to it, and I'm sure you are too. Okay, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, another assassination attempt. On a former president, someone that's running to be president of the United States, someone that's possibly representing, maybe not everyone voting for him would say that he's representing them, but they are going to vote for him. Roughly 75 to 80 million people are going to vote for him this time around. And that is their candidate, and that is their choice. That's who they would like to see in office, whether wholeheartedly or just relative to the other options that they have on that ballot. And it is very sad to see that for so long now, this person, since 2015, comes down the escalator, has been absolute under constant bombardment. I mean, he has been under siege since then. And at this point, for millions of Americans, they also feel under siege, which is a very dangerous situation and an ever escalating situation. So we'll talk about it. I got a few tabs pulled up, but obviously I'm going to open up with that one. Right here, this talks about real quick about Trump was golfing at his golf resort in Florida, Trump International Gold Club, very Trump-esque for the name. Secret Service was with him, and the Secret Service detail that was headed one or two holes in front of him as he's moving throughout the course actually spotted the person in the tree line, spotted the rifle coming through the fence, apparently opened fire. The person ran, jumped in the car, and it was later detained. AK-47, backpack, and GoPro. And then this person has been identified. I'm not going to say the name, just like I'm not going to say the name of public shooters, because ultimately they are losers, and that is what they want. They want something to live in infamy, if you will, for them, because they have nothing else. They've never amounted to anything. They never made anything of themselves. They are losers. So I'm not going to give them that satisfaction. Now, this person is not dead. This person is has been detained, so is in custody. And now we get to play the game. We get to play the game of how long it takes the FBI to come out with some kind of scenario. More than likely, it's going to be tough though, because this person actually was fairly active on social media. Now, in these pictures, you can see there's a lot of red, white, and blue. I'm not going to get into the specifics of them just because this is starting to come out. But here we are, 50 days or so away from the election. Where would we be if one of these, either mentally ill, emotionally unstable, or just highly motivated individuals of a political party takes a shot and gets lucky at a former presidential nominee who has a security team who can't seem to fucking get it together. I don't really know what the issue is. Now, people say, oh, no, it worked. It was 2 holes ahead of them. That's fine. I guess, it's tough because it's a golf course. It's huge. The perimeter is massive. But it just seems that, again, we have another person getting relatively close. I would say that's relatively close. I could be wrong. I haven't done security. I've never been in that kind of detail. So there is that. Of course, we have very, very hateful things being spewed around on X, on social media. We have people saying, deal with it. There's been a doctor that has been out of Pennsylvania that just says, deal with it. The thing about this is this. If you're going to call somebody an existential threat to democracy, to our way of life, you're going to call him worse than Hitler and everything. Just go down the list of all the things that they have said. Now immediately come out with, oh, well, we don't condone violence. And Gwen and I are glad to hear Donald Trump is safe. Violence has no place in our country. It's not who we are as a nation. Well, apparently some of your supporters think that that is what we are. This comments are just absolutely brutal under here, but either the man is Hitler and he's a danger to our republic, or you're glad he's alive and violence has no place in our society. Because the people who think that Hitler should have been stopped by any means. Okay, so that is the issue that we're running in here. The rhetoric against Donald Trump is so hateful, is so vile. And it's not just like political rhetoric. If you hear that for 8 to 10 years at this point, you can't now backtrack and say, oh no, it has no, we shouldn't resort to these kind of things. Here's the issue. He had already gotten shot in the head one time, and there was about a day and a half. I'll say there was about a day and a half where the rhetoric got toned down, and we went right back to he is a threat to democracy. He's going to change he wants to be a dictator on day one. All these things. If you don't like the guy and you only get your news sources from a few spots, like most Americans don't have the time to do what you and I do, right? After a while, you're like, well, maybe this is true. Like, maybe literally he is that bad of a person. Now, we also do have some politicians that are running for office. This one happens to be a wife of someone running for office in Virginia. No ears were harmed. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon. Yeah, that's an inappropriate comment. That is very inappropriate. I'm actually surprised it's still up. However, I'm not sure of what that district looks like. If they are a very safe district, they don't care. And actually that motivates the base, and they'll probably gain campaign contributions for that. Here we go. Extreme MAGA Republicans are the party of national abortion ban and Trump's Project 2021. We must stop them. Yeah, that was 1 hour after news broke of a shooting, and he posted this. It's despicable. And it really is. Hakeem Jeffries from the House. It's stuff like this. The rhetoric is just absolutely insane. MAGA Republicans, the 2025 Project, constantly accusing Trump about it. 2025, they've had that institution, the Heritage Foundation, I believe it was, has put out something like that almost every single year. 2024 Project, 2020, every single year. And it's a list of ideas that an administration could do. That's it. It's just a list of ideas that they could do, right? If you go to any news website, there's a list of ideas that you could do. What could this tax policy do? What could this social program do? What could this do? Man, it just goes on and on. So this is a developing thing. We're going to get back into it. I'm sure we will I sure we will, as things come out, we're going to see more and more and more. Trump again ending with nothing will slow me down. Here's a little thing too. Why are you golfing, sir? Why are you golfing? You need to be in Pennsylvania. My take on it, I've said that to a couple people now, and they've all said, "Hey, man, he needs a break." Okay, that's fine. But here's the deal: if he loses, more than likely he's going to jail. So if I only had 50 days to win an election and to make sure my ass doesn't go to jail, and I'm not a political martyr sitting rotting away in some New York cell, and then the power goes off or the guards go to sleep or something like that, which has happened. It's happened. Yeah, I would definitely be. I don't know. I'd be on my plane, my beautiful plane, my big beautiful plane. Everyone loves it. I'd be on there hopping from town to town around Pennsylvania. All right. Speaking of strategy, we got Axios, Trump's swing state plan to target sometimes voters. This is a very interesting article about how to turn out a vote. Now, everything the road to the White House does lie through Pennsylvania. It's a very interesting thing that we have 50 states, millions and millions of voters. However, there's really just a few critical states that matter in this election, in the presidential election. With the Electoral College, Pennsylvania is a pivotal one. Trump secures Pennsylvania. The map gets extraordinarily challenging for the Democrats, for Kamala Harris. If he loses, the map gets pretty hard for him too, but not quite as bad. Okay, but if he loses Pennsylvania, I mean, is there a possibility he picks up Wisconsin and Michigan if he's losing the demographic of Pennsylvania? Probably not, and that's why you kind of see Michigan and Pennsylvania kind of floating the same direction. And again, just like the last two presidential cycles, this election is going to come down to less than 200 votes in 4 states, which is absolutely wild. The other races do matter. House seats matter. Senate seats matter. So it's not just all about the presidency, but that definitely is. And of course, we want to see our guy win. We want to see Donald Trump get back in there and just absolutely tear that town up. Because I think this time he's back he's actually in reality of what he's facing. First time in, he went in there. He thought he was going to be the CEO, and they're all going to play nice. And he didn't realize that these people are ideologues, and if you're not the controlled opposition, they're going to try to destroy you. And he definitely realized that was the case. And he got hit with the impeachments and the indictments and this fake scandals and everything. But let's get into this. This is an absolute great article about how Trump and the GOP in that state is targeting sometime voters to try to swing this thing. And we'll jump back over to X and talk about Scott Presler and his movement as well. They are registering people to vote and requesting mail ballots for so many people. They're doing an excellent job. We didn't have that ground game last time around, and so I'm hoping that is what is going to take us over the top in Pennsylvania. Donald Trump campaign lacking on the ground muscle to match Kamala Harris team has been rolling out a new strategy to target swing state voters who've shown interest in Trump but often don't vote. Why does this matter? Trump campaign training material obtained by Axios offers an inside look on the strategies of ex-president's team is betting on to turn out voters in Pennsylvania and at least 6 other key states. The big picture, the material described the 2020 Trump campaign reach out effort as inefficient, and it was inefficient. That was the biggest feedback from a lot of young Republicans that went to Georgia, that went to Pennsylvania, that were helping with the phone banks and everything. It was just inefficient. It was not a well-ran campaign. I think things are very, very quickly becoming different over at the RNC, which is awesome. Our ground game is going to pick up. It's going to get better. And if the RNC across the nation picks up a ground game that is even half of what the Democratic Party's ground game is currently, this country will start reflecting what it actually is, which is a 60-70% lean conservative House, Senate, presidency compared to the almost as at 50-50 split that it is now. And that's on the Republican Party. That's on me. That's on you. Trump's team is outgunned in sheer resources. The campaign says it has about 27,000 top volunteers on the ground nationwide and hundreds of thousands more in various roles in battleground states. Harris' campaign claims to have 60,000 volunteers in Pennsylvania alone, along with the hundreds of thousands more in other key states. Axios has reported Trump's campaign has focused more on developing an election integrity team of 175,000 poll workers and poll watchers nationwide, a program rooted in the ex-president's false claims of widespread fraud and 2020 election was fraudulent. Trump's campaign, like Harris, is supported by a constellation of outside groups that help provide additional canvassing and voter registration. Trump's team includes thousands of volunteers outside the campaign who make call, mail material, engage in voters on platforms such as TikTok and YouTube, like this one. What we're watching, the Trump campaign internal material prioritizes getting a hard-to-reach, low-propensity voters, those who have shown interest in Trump by attending a rally or for example, but aren't necessarily likely to show up at the polls. Okay, let's break that down. I found it absolutely wild to think that you're going to take time out of your life to go to a Trump campaign or a GOP get together or a this or a that or a Young Republicans event and you're not even registered to vote. That is a great place, apparently, to register people to vote. I was blown away by that. There's people that will go out to the Trump rallies. They're not registered to vote. And if they are, they don't go and vote, which I just find that absolutely bizarre. Or I'll hear people all the time, oh, yeah, I like Trump. Cool. Are you registered? You're going to go vote? Or they won't go vote. It's like, okay, well, man, you can't say that you support Trump. Supporting Trump or the policies or what you think his policies are or what you think, what you're projecting onto Trump, none of that matters if you don't actually go cast a ballot. That's it. You got to go cast a ballot. Now, these hard to reach, low propensity voters, the number is actually pretty wild. About half the country or more than half the country doesn't vote. In Pennsylvania, I've seen numbers of like 30, 60,000 gun owners aren't registered to vote. Hunters that regularly renew their license aren't registered to vote. There's a lot of key demographics that aren't registered to vote that if you register 10 of them, 8 of them would vote Republican. If you're a voter registrar, you're not legally, well, you have to register everyone. I think that you are allowed to ask who you're voting for, but you need to check that. It's state by state, county by county kind of rules. So this first right here, it does show that the Democrats do have a very large ground game and they have a lot of volunteers, particularly younger volunteers and older volunteers, while the GOP has mostly older volunteers. If you look how younger generation votes, they're breaking to the left. Now at this point, luckily they're only like 11% of the turnout. So that's, that's good, at least for the GOP at this point. I got some tea, got some Irish tea. So this is what I'm talking about the ground game. I mean, if you look at it, it says 27,000 top volunteers on the ground nationwide. Nationwide, hundreds of thousands of it. So Harris campaign claims to have 60,000 in Pennsylvania alone. So this 27,000 number is apparently across the nation. 60,000 alone in Pennsylvania. They know that this is the most important thing. That's why I don't understand why they didn't pick Shapiro. I think that was a stupid decision. Now, if they win, okay, great. Then that was apparently the right decision. But if they lose and they're looking down the barrel at needing that, I mean, they have to get Pennsylvania, but they didn't go with Shapiro because he's a Jew. And of course, the Democratic Party is wildly anti-Semitic, so you can't have a Jew on the ticket. Which is very ironic considering how many times they say Donald Trump is Hitler and everything. So Trump campaign is more focused on developing election integrity. This is a wide spread. I don't want to say issue, but it's a very interesting thing that is going on with I'll say this, in North Texas, we have tons of volunteers now, which is great. We're filling up empty spots, empty seats, election judges, a lot of poll watchers. Guys, being a poll watcher is cool. Good on you for coming out. Good on you for showing up, trying to do something. but you could just as easily be a clerk actually running an election polling site. You could be an election judge. This like whole, like, we're going to watch the polls and we're just going to, I don't really know what the ground game is on this. You have a poll watcher, they give you a little app. If you see something suspicious, you report it. Okay, so now we're going to have, let's say 175,000 poll watchers. Let's say a quarter of them see something wrong. And then the app's going to go nuts. Is there going to be enough people to say, oh, well, what was wrong? I mean, how many ballots do you want to get thrown out? I mean, what? Now, again, the mail-in ballots, when they come in and they're not folded, there's no creases, and you checked each and every single one of them. You spent 3 seconds on 100 and something thousand ballots. Well, you reported it, and guess what? The judge didn't want to do anything about it. The judge didn't want to hear about it. They don't want to hear about it. They're not going to hear about it, and they're not going to throw those ballots out. Okay? Judges are not going to touch this subject. They're going to unhook their phone until this thing is over with and go back to business as normal. They are not going to touch it. The Supreme Court isn't going to overturn this. That is not going to happen. So this pipe dream that we're going to have integrity poll watchers and they're going to find the issues and they're going to do this and no, they're not. This game is no longer about the baseline. Everyone's here to have an honest debate and an honest election, and may the best person with the best argument win. That is not what we're doing anymore. Okay, you're not meeting up with your friends to play Settlers of Catan or anything like that, or Catan, sorry. You're not meeting up with your friends to play Monopoly, and everyone's following the same rules and the essence of the fair game. This is about how many names on a piece of paper can I get into a ballot box. Once they're in the ballot box, they are not going to get thrown out. It is not going to happen by any large number. It could have very easily happened in Georgia, where it was 0.3% that Trump lost that state, and then later we ended up losing 2 Senate seats. It would have been just miraculously easy to find the 20,000 ballots, because there probably were 20,000 ballots that you could have gone back and you could say, no, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And if you pulled 30, if you pulled 25, 24,000 of them probably would have been Democratic votes. Okay. But that's not ever going to happen. Judges are not going to touch it. So I think that this right here is a wildly misplaced use of resources. You need to get these people's names and number, and you need to roll them over into better positions before the election, turning out the vote, registering people to vote, all those things. Where ballot harvesting is illegal, where ballot harvesting is legal, where the ground game is legal for ballot harvesting, you need to get those people turning on that. And also, the Republican Party needs to pay up. Democratic volunteers, to some degree, are getting paid. Republican volunteers aren't getting anything. And we have a lot of politicians sitting on massive war chests, and they don't want to do anything with it, and they want to keep it in their campaign for whatever it is after the election. So let's continue on here. I went on a massive rant. Okay, so here's Trump. Here's the GOP. They are trying to incentivize people to come out and get some things done, which is great. The campaign volunteers have been given a list of 25 unreachable and sometime voters with a goal of visiting at least 10 in person. As they contact and engage more likely voters, volunteers can earn rewards: a t-shirt, a MAGA cap, an expedited entry into Trump's rallies, and the top prize for the most active volunteers, an invitation to a party at Mar-a-Lago or Trump's inauguration, along with being dubbed Trump Force Precinct caption. Okay, that's great. It's good. It's cool. And let's face it, a lot of people that are volunteers are into it, and they want kind of public praise. That's an excellent motivation for people. This strategy of must engage at least 10 face-to-face, and you just keep moving up and moving up and moving up, I think it's pretty good. That is one way to do it. They've been provided talking points. And this kind of goes on to what the integrity would be. Trump campaign is using this tactic, which is common among Democrats. Even Trump continues to rail against mail-in voting. So in Pennsylvania, and we're going to talk about Scott Pressler here in a minute, in Pennsylvania, they're getting mail-in ballots for people. Mail-in ballots are cool this year. This is what all the cool kids are doing, mail-in ballots, right? You need a mail-in ballot. Everyone gets a mail-in ballot because people just want to fill it out then and screw it. I don't want to stand in line, and I know I have almost 3 and 4 weeks in some of these states, and we have election day, but I'm just going to drop it in the mail. I think one thing that has not been pointed out about mail-in ballots, it's not that they're easily, so the fraud and everything, that's not it. I think mail-in ballots are, the more I heard about this and the more I think about it, is so true. Mail-in ballots have such a high rate of pressure behind them. This is political pressure. This is political manipulation, political peer pressure. That's what this is. Hey man, did you get your mail-in ballot? Okay, cool. Well, let's just fill it out together and we'll put it in the mail, or I'll take it for you. These are your friends and family that are motivated, that are one of these volunteers, and they know that you're kind of on the fence, and they're like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, I'll fill it out right now. Yeah, here. Oh, okay. That's not okay. Or if it's legal in these states, and these different states, especially the swing states, knock, knock, knock. Hey, your mail-in ballot just got mailed out a week and a half ago. Did you see it in your mail? Yeah, I got it sitting right here. Okay, cool. Well, I mean, are you planning on voting this year? Oh, no? Okay, cool. Well, I can take that for you. Okay, so that would be illegal. But let's just say let's just say everything's on the level. Oh, okay, you plan on voting? Oh, great, you are? Well, I mean, if you just want to fill it out now, I can take it for you. I mean, obviously you can say no, right? But let's say they knock 100 doors and have that conversation, they're going to get 10, right? Their hit rate's probably 10%, I would say. Or, hey, you know what? If you just want to sign that, I'll fill it out for you. I got you. Okay. That is political pressure. That is something that the ballot box was supposed to be about. No one is watching you in the voting booth. And now what we've done is create a system where people that weren't motivated to go stand in line, weren't motivated to go vote on voting day, they weren't motivated to go for the 2.5 weeks of early voting where there's almost no lines. Now they don't even have to leave their couch, but unfortunately, now they can be politically pressured, peer pressured into voting a certain way. Or if they don't give a damn, the people that really do get in their face and get their ballot. And I just, there's something that's wildly wrong about that in my mind. I think that you need to be a motivated individual to vote. If you're motivated to vote, you've probably done some kind of research, or you at least are engaged to some level, or something has pissed you off enough to go out and vote. Let's face it, okay? If you're just totally indifferent about the whole thing, like, no, I don't know. I just want to live my life. And I respect that. Totally respect that. I just don't think that you should, I just drop something in the mail and it'll make its way there and we'll count it. And I think that we do need to have some bare minimum to get in and vote. We just need it. It just needs to happen, right? Now in Texas, you get registered to vote at the DMV. We don't have mail-in ballots. We do have mail-in ballots, but they're for like military and elderly and things of that nature, which is fine. I'm not saying completely get rid of mail-in ballots, but these states that are sending everyone a mail-in ballot for this and that, I think that's totally out of line. That's my opinion, and I know there's people out here that can make a much better argument for it, and I think that that's something that we need to focus on in the state houses to get rid of that or whittle that down massively. The campaign is also working with conservative activists like Scott Pressler, Early Vote Action group, which is focused on registering voters at Trump rallies, farmer markets, gun shows, and gas stations. Just absolutely brilliant. Other groups help filling in the gaps in the campaign efforts, like Turning Point USA. They're really big on college campuses, which is awesome because Gen X is not woke. Gen X is going to be based as hell. They're mostly active in Arizona and Wisconsin. Those are two. Arizona more than Wisconsin, but Wisconsin's still on the chopping block for a possible swing state, which would be awesome. Along with Elon Musk, American PAC, and activists, Turnout for America PAC. What they're saying, Team Trump is doubling down our efforts to reach voters where they are at and share President Trump's plan to make America prosperous again. So this is generally the battle plan for Trump, is right through Pennsylvania and getting these people to turn out and vote. Again, this election is going to be super tight. And unfortunately, I don't think anyone's going to accept the results. Let's jump over to, this was from Revolver News, and this kind of goes with this one as well. The chilling mail-in ballot theory involves Walmart, strip malls, and gas stations that could doom Trump. So again, this I'm not going to read this whole thing. Omega for America, you can find them on any of the social media platforms. They're on Rumble. They are talking about the Stop the Steal, everything that went in with that. In every swing state, by stopping mail-in ballots going to Walmart, strip malls, and industry buildings, they prefer destination of ballots collected by NGOs. So what this is saying is that they have apparently done the research. I've been involved in some of this stuff here in Tarrant and Dallas County, finding mail-in ballots, or we will do polls on people that are very old and seeing if they were alive or not during the election. Now, I will say I didn't find too many people that died before the election and voted. The inconsistencies that we have found were like people would sell a home in Tarrant County and move to Dallas County. Didn't update their voting. They voted where they weren't supposed to. Things of that nature. I was involved for about 3 weeks, looking at a spreadsheet, looking at obituaries, things of that. Now, they have a couple different things that they bring up. They talk about canvassing, and the canvassing rolls for the Republican Party is wrong. They're wildly inaccurate. I would say that they're getting better. I've done door knocking. The names seem to line up. How people are voting seems to line up. And if they're not, I just mark them as such. And now the entire state has that data. The mail-in ballots, finding out where these mail-in ballots, people are being registered as their address, and are they getting mailed the ballot to that address, or are they getting mailed somewhere else? So you can get mailed a mail-in ballot in the state of Texas or in Dallas County anyway. I just have to speak to what I know for this situation. You can register that you live under a bridge. I live under the bridge at 75 and 635, two big highways. I live under the bridge. That's where you can describe it on the registration form. Then you can get mailed. You can get mailed the ballot to a different address, your mother's house, anywhere. You can get it mailed anywhere. That would be your registration. Excuse me, not your ballot. That's how you get registered to vote. At that point, now you can go and vote. Now, you can request a mail-in ballot for circumstances of I'll be out of town, I'm traveling, I'm sick, I'm elderly, I'm this, I'm that. Then you can get a mail-in ballot. Those are a little bit harder in Texas, but they definitely are there. So anyways, this kind of goes into this ground game. I do think it is important to address these issues. However, the Republican Party at this point is relying far too much on this angle to think that this is going to take them over the top entirely. And this is misplaced. I really do. This is misplaced energy. It is important that we address it. It is important that we clean up the voter rolls. But more importantly, it's important that you get out the vote, register people to vote, and you stay on message with your political messaging. Not going off these tangents and these conspiracy theories and the this and the that, and falling into the trap of the mainstream media and talking about things that don't matter to average American voters. That is the problem right now. Okay. So let's talk about political weaponization. I talked about this last time. This thing keeps going and will keep going until Donald Trump is 6 feet under, and hopefully he just passes away an old man and he's happy at his Mar-a-Lago and he just played a round of golf, and I will probably attend his funeral because I think the guy has really done something to America, whether you like that or not. I like what it has done because I feel that it has woken people up. It has, what really turned me on to Donald Trump. I remember this day as clear as it was yesterday. He goes to NATO and he starts blasting them for us picking up the tab for their defense, for us doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. And as someone that was in the military, someone that had lived overseas, I lived in Japan, we're doing the same thing there. We're footing the bill for their defense. Everyone listening was paying for me to be there for their defense. Now, people say, oh, well, we have a lot of benefits in doing that. We have this, we have that. They had a very easy, they agreed to do it. They were supposed to pay X amount of GDP towards their bills, and they didn't. They weren't. They were taking advantage of us. That's what turned me on to Donald Trump. He was already elected at that point. I didn't vote for him in 2016. I didn't vote. I don't think he even voted at all in 2016 because I was overseas. I could have got a ballot, but I didn't. But that is what turned me on. I think it has woken up a lot of people, and I'm going to get into this other article about how they wish, we want this thing Kamala's win could save conservatism, and the left wants us to go back to George W. Bush, Jeb Bush, Republican Party, where we're controlled opposition and we don't do anything and we don't have a ground game and the big donors are funding both sides and we just go along with it. I just want to tell everyone loud and clear that conservative party is dead. We took it out behind the barn and we shot it in the back of the head. It's never coming back. We're done with it. It's done with it. That voting base is soon to be gone. We don't want it anymore. Okay? So just forget about it. This is who you're dealing with now. It's not always going to be Donald Trump. And like I said before, on January 21st, whether Donald Trump is getting inaugurated or not, the Make America Great Again, America First, and all the different factions within the right need to immediately start combing out and finding really good candidates for this movement. And I would suspect it's going to be a very long primary season, which is going to be great because that's where you filter everything out, and that's where you're going to find the best candidate, whether that's through political gamesmanship or an actual honest debate. That's fine, but we're not the Democratic Party, and we're not going to turn over to a coup d'etat like the Democrats have the 3 times in a row now. Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden. All of them had their presidential nominee or nomination stolen from them. It's absolutely wild. But they all just say, yeah, well, that's the game. And that's just something that a lot of Republicans won't do, I guess, and for better or for worse. Okay, let's get back to Jill Stein. Jill Stein is saying, she's a third-party candidate. I'm actually convinced that she did help Donald Trump win in 2016. I think she got over 3% of the votes, and I'd be willing to bet almost 2.5% of those were going to be, if she wasn't on the ticket, they would have voted Democrat. So thank you, Jill Stein. You are very cool, and I hope you do that again. In fact, I think that we should fund her to some degree, especially in the swing states. There's been polls where she's polling with the Middle Eastern communities very high, like actually polling better than Kamala Harris, which would actually just be amazing, especially like in Michigan or something. Nonetheless, the Green Party nominee, she's out here saying, hey, look, this, the current political lawfare that is happening against really Donald Trump, right? It's not really happening against the left, right? Because that's just, to pull a big court case inside of a city that's ran by a Democrat, by Democrats, it's just not going to happen. Republican parties don't have that depth yet. Perhaps coming to a city near you, but at this time, this is all against Donald Trump. And that's what she's saying. This whole thing is, again, the political warfare happening against him. It delegitimizes election results. When people ask me, do you think the election was stolen? Well, what are you talking about? When you say it was stolen, do you mean rigged? And then by rigged, what do you mean? Do I think that there was literally hundreds of thousands of fake ballots stuffed in and counted? I really don't buy that. I haven't seen too much evidence of that. I've seen theories. Now, was it rigged? Yes, absolutely it was rigged, 100%. And I can define what that means to me. I don't think that it was a fair election. I don't think that everyone was being honest. I don't think the mainstream media was being honest. I don't think that almost three indictments against Donald Trump through Congress was honest with the impeachments. Those were all based on BS. I don't believe that Crossfire Hurricane and with Hillary Clinton and the Obamas spying on his campaign from the very beginning before he was even president with the FBI and bullshit wiretaps, using the federal court system, using the security state, at the dossier, the Steele dossier, which was funded by Fusion GPS, which was funded by the DNC. I mean, and there was nothing in there that was fair with that election against Joe Biden. All those things leading up to that. And did Donald Trump make some mistakes? Yeah, of course he did. Was the GOP ground game shit? Absolutely, 100%. But was it a fair and honest game? Like, if you could say, hey, here's this analogy. Let's say you equated that to playing a board game with your friend or neighbor. Like, would you ever play a board game with that person again if all those things happened? No, you wouldn't. You'd be like, he did a lot of things I just didn't like. And no, technically none of them were breaking the actual laws. But dude, that just wasn't what it was supposed to be. That's not the essence of a fair election or a fair game, if you will. And then there was everything that didn't need to happen on election night. A water pipe broke at the election center, counting center in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. There was no water leak ever. Them putting up the boxes and taping up shit in the windows so the poll watchers couldn't watch the ballots being counted. Why would you do that? If you wanted an open and honest, if you wanted everything to appear legit, why would you do that? No, we need to hide. It can be uncomfortable for the poll workers. Politics are uncomfortable, absolutely. But poll watchers are on both sides, right? And I've worked polls with, obviously, there's a Republican election judge and a Democrat election judge. It's not some heated debate the whole day. I know how, we know that we don't agree on politics, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't be able to sit in a room with this person for 10 hours, 12 hours, some of those days. And Jill Stein is bringing this issue up. I think Jill Stein's doing a great job. I wish that the GOP had more money and we could fund her. We can get a super PAC or something like that to fund her in places like the swing states, particularly Pennsylvania, Michigan. We'd have to see where else she polls really well, possibly Arizona or something like that. So let's just read something real quick. I'm going to pick a random article. Here's some numbers. Everyone loves numbers. These actions by Democratic parties are self-serving. In Michigan, the recent poll shows Trump leading Harris by 1 point, with Jill Stein and Cornel West each earning 1% of the state. The CBS Estimates tracker shows similar results in Wisconsin, which Harris barely edging over Trump, which is barely edging Trump, and with third-party candidate Jill Stein sitting about 1%. Finally, a recent poll conducted by Cook Political Report composed of voters in swing states of Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Nevada, show Harris with a meager 3-point lead over Trump, with third-party candidates gathering 10% of the vote. Democrats must prevent third parties from appearing on the ballot so they can bolster Kamala Harris's fledgling campaign. People ask me why I don't like Democrats. It's shit like this. You know, Trump is bombastic. Trump says this, Trump says that. Democrats are crooked. Democrats will sue you to oblivion. They will use the courts to drain you of your resources. They will threaten your families. All these things. And I'm not talking about they're going to go beat you up. I'm talking about, oh, well, we'll file this suit against you. We'll file that suit against you. RFK is still trying to get in and get off the ballots after he's dropped out. First, they sued him so he couldn't get on the ballots. And now they're suing him so he can't get off the ballots. And they're doing the same thing to third parties. That's the kind of thing that the Democratic Party does. And that is dangerous. This kind of lawfare, it undermines public trust in elections. And Jill Stein is right on top of it. Speaking of lawfare collapsing amidst Harris vows to prosecute Trump. So Trump has been on this since the day he came down the escalators. A San Francisco district attorney and then California Attorney General Harris supported jailing patients, suppressed evidence, keeping innocent men on death row, reportedly covering up misconduct, leading to the dismissal of over 600 cases. Okay, so she's already corrupt before she even got into national politics. But that's the kind of shit that she does. And it's very funny that we've gone from BLM, where the court systems are corrupt and the laws are against people in this nation. And, you go down the list. You remember the summer of love, baby. It's the summer of love. And it's a mostly peaceful protest while entire apartment buildings burning behind the guy. Now she's a prosecutor. And she knows how to handle Donald Trump and people like him because he's a criminal and we are going to put him away for good. And the Republican Party shouldn't have a candidate because they're also criminals because they support. And it just goes on and on and on. Yeah. Yeah. That's very interesting how just like a bunch of seals, that entire party just started clapping for her as soon as the other guy got taken out behind the barn. And I just don't know if that actually hits too well. I'm very interested to see how, people that were prior felons end up voting this election cycle. I'm really interested in seeing that number because I think that she comes off as somebody that would just give you the harshest punishment possible for the lowest amount of crime if it made her any more successful. That's what she really strikes me as. She's a mean girl, kind of, mean girl, Lindsay Lohan type attitude. That's what she strikes me as. And that's what the records show. And that's what Tulsi Gabbard tore her apart on that stage in the Democratic primaries. And that's why she got almost no votes in the Democratic primary. And she called Biden a racist. And then ended up actually proving his point that he is a racist. He picked her because she's black. She's a black woman. She's a black Indian woman. They needed a woman of color on the ticket. And he's like, well, I'm racist and I'm going to fall in line with that. Okay. Now what does the left really want? The left wants the, America First movement to die. The left want, Jeb Bush to be the next, Republican nominee. He will be the controlled opposition. He won't excite anyone to turn out. He won't say anything bombastic. He won't get in anyone's face. He won't push back against the mainstream media. He has absolutely no presence. He could walk into a room and other than being very tall, you would just not even care who he was. And that's exactly the type of person that MSNBC wants. The MAGA era conservatives, there is no crime more forgivable than for being a traditional Reagan-era Republican to endorse voting for Vice President Kamala Harris. You won't find any such endorsement here. I care less about whom you're voting for than you should care about whom I'm casting my ballot. Let's listen to this. It's not like Republicans have spent the past 9 years defending the bedrock principles of free market conservatism. Yeah, exactly. Now this is projection. This is what's great. When you hear liberal talking heads, or you see an article like this is them projecting what they think Republicans are, what they think MAGA is, or what they think America First is. This is them not engaging with the opposite base. This is them kind of saying what they think America First is. The Republican Party. Okay, there's many factions inside the Republican Party, just like on the left. There's many factions, right? You can't really use an fix-all term for the entire party. And now, are we talking about the voting base? Are we talking about the 80 million people that are voting in the base, or are we talking about the higher echelon politicians? Those are different people, right? Those are big different people. That's why I don't like hearing politicians say Democrats are. Who are you talking about? I don't think that you should be attacking the 80 million people that are going to turn out to vote. I really think that you should be addressing the political class of that party, because that's a way easier fight to win. But it's not like Republicans have spent the last 9 years defending the bedrock principles of free market conservatism. Slowly but surely, most of them have contorted themselves into endorsing whatever form President Donald Trump thinks economic populism is. Well, I would actually say that is true, and I don't really appreciate the contorting themselves into. Free market policies, free trade, has turned out to be an absolute disaster. Donald Trump hit it right on the head when he said, I don't want free trade. People take advantage of us with free trade. South Korea took advantage of us. Germany took advantage of us. Japan took advantage of us. So we're actually paying for their defense, and then they're bending us over a barrel when it comes to quote unquote free trade. Couldn't get a car into South Korea, couldn't get a car into Japan, but we were driving all their shit. That's not free trade. I don't care about free trade. I'm a protectionist. I want to help. I want an internal economy. And if you want to do business with us, great. Let's have a bilateral trade agreement where we're both on the same page. I don't care about NAFTA, the giant Trans-Pacific Partnership that Trump absolutely nuked the first month that he was in office was an absolute win for America. That was a special interest group put together with massive payouts for everybody that was signing it, and the American people are going to be absolutely screwed with that. And by no means do I believe, with what little I know about it, compared to somebody that has, they would drop their, I have a PhD in economics. Dude, I don't care, because the last guy that said we're going to had a PhD in economics, they signed NAFTA, and the factories have just been continuing to leave America. And that's really not good for people like me. That's what I'm worried about. People like me. What happened to traditional free markets? Low tax conservatism for Trump to win in November. One could argue the classical liberalism horse has already jumped the fence, never to return. But if America gives up and returns Trump to presidency, conservatism, and many understood it, for the past half century would simply become a museum piece, gathering dust in the library shelves. Good. That's exactly where it belongs. We are no longer in a post-World War II, we're the powerhouse of the world. The rest of the world is caught up. Okay, their engineering is caught up, their manufacturing base is caught up, but one thing that they do have is cheap labor. Okay, and we still have these laws in place and these trade agreements in place where they are very good at taking advantage of us. That is right, MSNBC. That's where we want it. Gathering dust on a library shelf. In the future, my kids can write an economics report on it, and they can talk about the pros and cons of it. That's totally cool. Sounds great. Until then, the right wants nothing to do with it. That's my opinion. That's what I hear people talking about. And there are still people in the party that are holding on to it. That's what they want. But those are just people that haven't given up power yet. And that's another issue that, of course, I'm sure the right and left can agree on, that, damn, some of these people need to go. A lot of these people need to go, and we need term limits. Let's go back to this. I wanted to listen to a little bit of it, but you know what? I'm thinking we kind of get the point here that I can go through MSNBC and it's constant projecting on what these people think the right is, and they take the lamest, worst cuts of the right and push it to their base, which, thank God, this is slowly dying. Mainstream media is slowly dying, and I just absolutely love how YouTube and these other media sources are destroying them. Guys, if you're subscribed to a bundle package, you need to cancel that, because that's how they get paid. They don't get much money from advertising. They get paid through the subscription packages. The less people are subscribed to that, the less money they're going to get. Let's kind of go through X for just a little bit, and then we'll wrap it up. Viva Fry, another way to look at the events today. An apparent Ukrainian assassin just tried to assassinate Donald Trump. That is so true. This guy looks to be wildly pro-Ukrainian. Okay, he was out here hiring mercenaries in 2020. The Ukrainian thing is, Ukraine is a very dangerous thing for us. Ukraine is an absolute quagmire. If you look at other empires that have gone there, it is a very difficult place to hold. It's a giant plane, yada, yada, yada. But regardless of that, it's on the other side of the planet. It's on the other side of the planet, and I really don't care what asshole in a tracksuit is going to be running that country. I don't care. There's plenty of countries where assholes are running them. Okay. And now we've gotten to this thing where we have this guy, Zelensky, and we're sending him unchecked amount of money. The guns and the weapons that we're sending are being found in other countries that they're selling them to. There's a massive amount of corruption. They don't want to send anyone over there to have checks and balances. This was happening, and I remember I got so much shit about this when this started kicking off. I was like, this is just going to be another Middle East quagmire deal. Well, we're never going to get out of it. What is the end goal? No one has yet told me the end goal. No one can describe the end goal. The thought that Ukraine is going to push out the Russian army is, crazier things have happened, sure, but they are getting beat down just as much as the Russian army. And let's look at wars of attrition. Who's really good at it? Who's been good at it? But now if you say that, all of a sudden I'm a Russian sympathizer, and apparently I've been talking to the Kremlin or something. I know zero liberals who want Trump harmed. They all want to beat him in November. Oh yes, that is not true. That is a wild misstatement there, sir. Anyone who uses the word woke. Okay, great. Trump defended the cats and they granted him extra lives. Jack Posobiec for the win. That's hilarious. Time Magazine in trouble. Pay close attention to the image. Time Magazine posted 4 days ago on 9/11. In trouble. Maybe they knew it was coming. Yeah, he's on a golf cart now. He almost gets whacked on the golf field. Let's go ahead and subscribe to Texas Scorecard. That's actually a really good news source if you want to see what's going on in Texas. As just a reminder, 4 sitting presidents have actually been assassinated: Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, William McKinley, John F. Kennedy. Reagan is the only U.S. president who had been injured in an assassination attempt while in office and survived. 2 former presidents, Theodore Roosevelt and Donald Trump, have also been injured in attacks. Every politician targeted in each assassination attempt was a member of the Republican Party, with the exception of one, JFK. Every violent perpetrator was a Democrat, a socialist, or a commie. I think that is definitely worth thinking about. If you look at, let's go check this person out. Follow me, commentary, news, critical events, anal. Oh yeah, no, I don't think we're going to be following this person too much. Yeah, actually they probably post some pretty good stuff, but if you look at the wildness of the left and the indoctrination, and just more mentally ill people are on the left than the right. And I don't think that that's a coincidence. Prediction: the late Trump assassin won't get nearly as much time as the J6ers. Yep. That's 100%. It's definitely not going to get as much time. Man, they couldn't stop talking about January 6th until it got so bad. They had to go back to golf one time on the news. I mean, just no one cares about it. Everyone just really, they overplayed it way too much. And I hope that when Donald Trump wins, he gets those people out of that DC jail because they are political prisoners. They are political prisoners. And the ones that got out had a plea. They had to plea bullshit deals. Democrats haven't gotten upset or taken shots at the Republican Party like this since Lincoln freed the slaves. That's true. Lincoln was a Republican. He freed the slaves. That's right. And then he got shot in the back of the head. Yeah, definitely be careful with those. Those will get you jacked up. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to follow this guy, though. I think there's better people to follow. I told you there was no danger. MAGA is now claiming that there was another assassination attempt on Trump. Fact is, Trump was never in any danger. And after two people exchanged gunfire outside his Florida golf course, they just keep pushing more and more lies. Dude. The guy posts up to go kill Donald Trump. I mean, what else is he gonna like try to snipe the birdies? Like, is he gonna try to hit the ball midair? He's set up. It's an assassination attempt. He was conspiring to kill somebody. Okay. Clearly, but from the posts that I've seen, he's anti-Trump. He voted for Trump in 2016. He hasn't liked what Trump has done. He probably does have some kind of mental illness. I'm sure he's on SSRIs or something like that. And I'm told there was no danger. Yeah. I mean, this right here is just, it just for people to say that, man, it's just so dishonest. And it kind of goes to the mind virus of like, you don't have to say, yeah, he was almost shot again and I'm still not voting for him. Just like, you don't have to deny the existence of that circumstance and happening. Okay. How can a rational person believe that Democrats are the good guys? I've always accepted the fact that they don't care. They're all evil and want to win by any means necessary. Okay. Yacht girl, dying wool, educated victims of mainstream brainwashing. New York native living in the South, pineapple, proud mom of some boys, cat lady. Let's see. What's the pineapple about, girl? I don't know. We'll see about that. Here's the thing about this. This is what I was talking about with Democrats are the good guys. They're all evil. So I don't believe that. I don't believe that all Democratic voters are evil. Are you talking about the political class? I would say that statement probably is more accurate for like the upper political class. Most politicians, you could contribute that to. But let's never forget, Donald Trump won by in part from Bernie Sanders supporters, voted for him in the primary. He got the primary stolen from him. Almost, I think, 4 million of them voted for Donald Trump because of the trade policies he was talking about. And the AC company that was going to shut down the spot in Indiana or wherever it was and ship it to Mexico. And he's like, no, you're going to get 100% tariff if you move. I just don't, I think that right there, those kind of statements alienate people because like people will think, well, wait, hold on. I voted Democrat, or I would consider myself a Democrat. If you come off the block, if you come right out the gate saying you're evil, you're shutting down the conversation in Discord. And I think that, we as the right are excluding people with that type of language. Right. If you want to talk shit about politicians, almost everyone can agree with that. I think that's a losing angle. I think that's a big losing angle. And we need to work on doing that. Commies aren't people. Yeah. It just kind of depends on who you're talking about. I mean, there was commies in Russia. I mean, everyone in Russia was technically a communist, or like, everyone in China is kind of like, but are they all really bad? I don't think that, man. Let's see here. Scott Pressler getting turned up. He is, oh yeah, he had a post that I wanted to hit. He's always got some shit. Okay, here we go. So here's the doctor in PA who had made a pretty disgusting little post about it. So, dude, your orange-faced buffoon is one that's spreading hate, anger, fear, and lies. This climate is 100% on him. Deal with it. So this right here is the cope that the left comes up with about Donald Trump and these assassination attempts, that he made this happen, that it's his fault. This right here is gaslighting. This is an abusive relationship. You made me hit you. This hurts me more than it hurts you, right? You're making me do this to you. That's what that is right there. No, it is the mainstream media not having an honest, in-depth, intellectual conversation about why they fundamentally disagree with the right or Donald Trump. Okay, and but they can't do that because that would say, well, our donors don't like it, or this or that. No, it's just he's a bad guy. He's an existential threat. He's a racist. He doesn't want you to be LGBTQ plus minus 55. He doesn't. He's Hitler. If you tell people that and you say it enough and you're speaking to millions and millions of people, at least one of them are going to take action in a very bad way. The numbers, the odds are they're definitely going to happen. There's no way of getting around it. Now, I will say this, though. The right hasn't done it yet. I will say that the people on the right, I think, are a little bit more level-headed, and this is actually what sends them over the freaking top, is the fact that none of their candidates, although all political candidates have death threats, there's like literally almost no, like once you get past state house, you're getting death threats. But it's the fact that no one on the right's really acted on it. That really sends them over the top, because it just makes them look worse and worse as this happens. And more, this is going to happen. Now this is becoming a thing. Now people are like, oh, I could become famous. I could, it's my turn. I'm telling you, this is going to happen more. We're going to be here in 2 weeks. It's going to happen again. And so the tangle goes on. The tangle continues to go on. So we will, Adam Schiff, we will continue to put out some reports, guys. I'm going to do probably like 3 more this week. I'm going to have a guest on as well from Critical Thoughts. And I also have some other fun events coming up. We're going to start interviewing some local politicians and some people that are on the ground getting some things done here in the DFW area. Obviously not technically a swing area, but still very important as far as the Senate goes. So guys, please like, subscribe, and follow, and I will keep putting out content. And if you would like to have a little chit chat, please let me know, because this is the kind of stuff I really do like doing. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.